Recording in progress. I'm saying it today because we are not using a Zoom call, but this is episode 8 of the Tilt Report with James and Jeremy. I had a lot of mistakes last time during the last pod, saying episode 6. I was fucking wrong about that. I wasn't sure about it. I just took a leap of faith and ended up being very wrong about that. So this is episode 8. We are coming to you live from this Thursday where I'm completely on to next week for PGA already because I have fucking Ben Taylor who just refuses to golf well. But outside of that, things are okay. It's been a busy week, but this weekend should be good. We're getting ready for baseball season in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So, Jeremy, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I have some Ben Taylor, but I'm an MME player, as you know, so I've got a little bit of Ben Taylor. Nothing to bury me for the week, but feeling pretty good about PGA so far. So, good start to the Thursday. It's always good to wake up at 8 a.m. and be like, all right, my guys are not in the water yet. So, here we are.
Yeah, for me, I wake up at, like 6:30 in the morning or whatever. And usually that means that my golfers, like whoever I have in the morning wave, have ended up going for a little while, and I get to check in and be like, oh yeah, I'm totally fucked, or yeah, this is going pretty well. This week, however, they didn't tee off till 6:45, and yeah. I only had Justin Thomas relatively early, but I pretty much went pretty heavy on the early wave. I think that people overestimate weather issues, and there's so much variance in the game anyway that, like, whatever, man. It doesn't really bother me all that much. So I'm pretty heavy on the morning wave, but with Ben Taylor, I feel already pretty fucked. What were your stands this week? What did you decide to do?
Yeah, so I agree. I think the field generally overreacts to weather waves. One, weather is super variable. Two, PGA is super variable. Three, half the time they don't finish the freaking round in the same day, so it gets a little bit crazy. But from a player standpoint, I thought that the top of the field was so much better than pretty much everyone under 10K. So I took heavy stands on JT. I took a heavy stand on Spieth. I have 50% of both of them. I have both of them in the same lineup a ton, which you have to if you have 50% of both. I have like 30% Fitz. And then my other guys that I've got big stands on are Steven Yeager, who puts me through the ringer every freaking week. Patrick Rogers puts me through the ringer every week. But I have big stands on Matt McNeely because I do think that PGA DFS players also overreact to injuries. McNeely seems like he's fine. He came in at 8%. I mean, I remember maybe 3 weeks ago, my dog is upset about something. So apologies for that. Do you mind if I check on what's going on out there?
No, go for it, man. Figure it out.
All right, hold on.
So as we take a slight intermission from things, I just want to hope that everyone out there is doing really well, Sometimes it can be hard to get through whatever trials and tribulations you're going on in life, but, I have a lot of faith in a lot of people, and I think that being an optimist about life is the right way to be. And, hopefully people out there are figuring out the path that they need to go down and working through whatever issues that they have going on. And, because it's never as bad as it actually seems. And the hard parts never last as long as you feel like they're going to last. So hopefully everyone out there is doing well and making it through whatever issues they have. If you are not, then, I hope that you can find somebody who can help you through those things. Support systems are really important, especially as a newer father. Damascus just turned 2. Support systems have been an incredibly important thing for Margaret and I in our parenting journey. And, right now we're dealing with some things that are not super fun, but regardless of that, the support systems that we have made it a lot easier to deal with and have helped lighten the load of a lot of the issues that we have found in our lives. So if you don't have a great support system, maybe go to the library, maybe go to church, maybe go to whatever it is that you have in your community to help you find some people that can help you through the things that you have to deal with in life. These have been some nice, soothing inspirational thoughts with James McCool while Jeremy deals with whatever it is that his dog is doing right now. Hopefully he's back soon, because I don't have a lot more to go on that. I suppose we could take a look at what else we have going on for DFS today. We can take this break to say, all right, what contests we got going on, and then Jeremy and I can just handle the tilt stuff a little bit later. Looks like for NBA, 5-game slate. It's a pretty good contest out there. There's a 3-entry max 222. Looks like pretty decent tournament there. 100 entries and 5,000 to first. 777 with 100K up top. The 300K swish, that looks like a pretty good one too. Those ones are going to fill fast, I think. So especially because it's only a 5-gamer, and it looks like we don't have a whole lot of injuries that we have to deal with on this one. So this looks like a pretty good slate. I'll probably play this one. Let's see, what else we got here? For hockey, we have an 11-game slate, and still not a single tournament over 100K. Not a single one. So we have the typical 333, which is 20K to first. Then we have 121, which is only 55 entries, and
I'm back.
Not that great. And Jeremy's back. So
I'm back.
Welcome back. What was your dog so pissed about?
My wife ordered something expensive, so I had to sign, and then he needed my license. I left my wallet in the car. I had to go out to the car to get my license. I was like, I was in shambles. I was Ben Taylor for that sequence. So, but I'm back now. I'm ready to go.
Well, that is just awesome. I was just going over the contest we got today. It looks like a pretty good NBA slate. It's only a 5-gamer. Starts at the regular time at 6. Yeah, 5-gamers are great. And on top of that, there's a 222 with 5K to first. That's a 100-man. That looks nice. And then there's a 777, which is 434 entries, 100K to first. That looks pretty good as well. Looks like there's a lot of good tournaments. The only thing that I would complain about on a slate like this is that the 88 is only 10K to first rather than the 20K to first that it usually is. Looks like they took they took a little bit away from that so they could up the 222, it looks like. But that's okay. It looks like pretty good set of stuff here. As I've been continuing to harp on, MLB starts in 2 weeks. I'm pretty excited about that. But overall, looks like a pretty good day for some DFS.
Yeah, man. I might play like MLB 2 times a week with your stuff just to try it out and humor you a little bit. I know you always say, play to your strengths. This is going to be the opposite of that. So we'll see how it goes. I'll probably quit in like 3 weeks, but you never know. I mean, if the tools can bring me to where I need to be, I'm good.
Well, and like when it comes down to it, I think that one of the reasons why people tilt so hard at baseball is because it is so highly variant, but that's just a mindset thing. Like, sure, if you're used to playing basketball DFS, if you're used to playing NBA, then you're used to kind of these more smooth, linear outcomes, right? And that's why a lot of people, that's why people say nobody loses at NBA DFS, because like the projections are usually good. And 2, it's because there aren't that many things that happen outside of the realm of a normal range of outcomes for a player outside of injury or foul trouble. Like those are kind of the 2 things that are unexpected variables that happen in NBA. Whereas in baseball, we have a million different things that are super variant, and even the projections are variant in themselves. It's one of the reasons why I don't pay a lot of attention to how good the projections are. I pay a lot more attention to... Actually, no, I should rephrase that. I don't pay a lot of attention to how good the player projections are, but on the micro level, I think projections are overblown by a massive amount in baseball. Whereas on the macro level, at the team level, I think that it's way more important to be good and precise with the way that you are measuring the efficiency of different teams at a macro level. So that's really what it comes down to. You have to think more about, okay, player projections are usually overblown. People are going to be utilizing them a lot. You can find a lot of leverage in that. And I just think that it's a mindset thing. I think that you just have to understand that the game for baseball DFS and for hockey DFS, for that instance, and for soccer DFS, for all of these different things that are very event-oriented sports, It's just a mindset shift of, instead of looking at it as a projection based game, you're looking at it as a leverage based game, and you're looking at it more as a macro based game rather than the micro. So
Yeah, you're almost what it sounds like is you're kind of like picking teams and situations, right? And then the players that come down, come into your lineup, it's really dependent on salary and all of that for the day, but you're just like basically stacking up teams that you think are going to do well for that day, which makes sense. And it's pretty similar to like NFL, to be quite honest. NFL is a little bit different, obviously, with a little bit less variance, I guess. But yeah, I hear you. So I'll try not to get too tilted in MLB in the first when I first try it out, knowing that you fail a lot. But definitely food for thought. That's for sure.
well, the cool thing is, like, failing a lot is so subjective in baseball because you can win GPPs with a pitcher that goes into the negative.
I've seen some I've seen some lineups in both MLB and then also NHL where like a goalie is like -6 or something like that, and then or a pitcher is -4, -5, and I'm like, how are you winning 100K with that lineup? But if everyone's failing, everyone's failing.
That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. So that's what we got coming up. Baseball. I'll talk a lot about baseball. I'll probably do a little baseball DFS primer video here pretty soon. Maybe I can convince Cardi or somebody else to come on and do a video with me before the season starts, so that we can talk a little bit about efficiency in NBA DFS and stuff like that. But we'll see on that. What do we got for tout news here? So last week, or not last week, not yesterday. Man, I'm so off. I'm so fucking tired, dude.
You got the illness brain, man.
Being sick and being a parent is hard. So 2 days ago we talked about Tom Petty, or what's his first name?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Why do I keep calling him Tom Petty? Anyway, petty theft. Ends up winning the...
Tom Petty isn't he like a famous like country artist or something?
Yeah, he is.
Race car driver.
Yeah, he's a famous country artist, I think. Petty theft ends up winning the basketball world championship, and he has been somebody who I've been like doing a lot of research into over the last couple of days, just trying to get ready and get kind of like a double bearing on basketball. So I think that instead of talking about tout drama, because there's not really much drama happening right now across the industry, like people are pretty quiet because baseball hasn't started back up yet, and everybody's fucking burnt out on basketball. So I want to hear like a couple of your thoughts on basketball DFS, and like if you learned anything new from this season, because you've had some pretty good success this season too, and I think that as we're closing out the season and moving on to baseball, like it's worth talking about things that we think are important moving forward, or things that you think have done well for you this season.
Yeah, I think this season I haven't necessarily learned something new in terms of concepts. I think this season has been interesting in the injury reporting in particular, especially with this, a lot of these midday questionable illnesses. I talked about it a little bit in your Discord maybe a few months ago, but there have been some big edges for people that leave or predict the injury correctly and say like, okay, Gobert, I'm going to use him as an example. Yeah, became questionable with an illness at 2:30 p.m. That usually means he's out and he's playing the 9 p.m. game. And it's a simple concept that I think not a lot of people try to follow. My big win this year was actually some trade deadline stuff where I just left my whole lineup open, and then I played Jalen Noel and who else did I play? Colin Sexton on trade deadline day when D'Lo and Conley and whoever got traded, and then I basically had 7 or 8 late spots, and I think that late swap this year has been pretty profitable. I know that Jesse and DK and some of the other people will tilt about making the wrong swap later on, but if you're making the right ones, it kind of washes out, or at least you'll come out ahead at the end of it. So I think that's the big thing for this year there's been a lot of late swap opportunity versus this year versus previous years, because in previous years during COVID it was more like, okay, this guy's out for health and safety protocols, for 8 days, and you just like know he's not gonna he's not gonna play. If anything, he might actually come back in and screw with all of your lineups at 6 p.m. This year has kind of been the opposite, with a ton of people getting illnesses, whether that be COVID or RSV or whatever the hell is going around these days. That's been the big thing for me this year. I haven't necessarily learned something new, but I think I've been applying that concept a lot this year in NBA.
Yeah, that's been one of the reasons why I have not had a great NBA season. I mean, I ended up in the black. I think I was positive maybe like 10,000 or something like that, which is good. That's fine.
Yeah.
But something that I just did not utilize enough was late swap, and we harp on it. And any pro that you listen to will say that late swap is the edge in NBA, and it's one of the reasons why I always tell people, like, if you can't sit at your computer for like 4 hours after lock, you absolutely should not be MMEing. If you have more than like 15 lineups and you're not just going to sit at your computer for the rest of the night, don't play NBA. Because you're just going to kill yourself. You'll just bleed out over the season. But one thing that I think is maybe underrated difficult is from a content creation perspective, and like for somebody like me, it's really hard to continue to hold that focus late into the night. Like, I start work at like 7 a.m. So at 7 p.m., for 12 hours, I'm fucking exhausted, man. Like, I don't want to be waiting to see if Mike Conley is fucking traded from Utah, you know? I don't want to deal with that. So it's really, really hard for me to sit there and really focus and keep that focus throughout the entire season. And my big hit earlier on in the year was when I was MMEing. I think I was doing 20 lineup sets at that point. But that was a period of like a month and a half or so where I was really sitting there and focused, and I was sitting all the way through the night, and I was waiting to make the swaps. But I could only do it for like 2 months, and then I completely just like fell down. Like I couldn't do it anymore. So it's just, I think that the two things that are really important for NBA season are, one, late swap, and two, that longevity and that battle of attrition for being able to stay into it and stay focused every single night, and making sure to take advantage of those late swap activities every single night. The other thing that I did notice this season was, and I think that this will continue on to next year, the usage rates of the high-end players have been so fucking crazy this year that it made it so you could find, the thing was, this doesn't just go for like Kevin Durant and Luka Doncic and Giannis. This went for like Lauri Markkanen and for De'Aaron Fox and these guys who they would just get fed, and they're like 8K, but they have these ceilings that are in the 50s. And if you realized it early enough to say, yeah, Lauri Markkanen has like a 40% usage rate some nights, you could make out like a bandit like that, because these guys should have been priced at like 9,500, 10K, but they just weren't. So I think there was a lot of edge early on in the season where the algorithms just couldn't keep up with it. And I still don't think the algorithms are keeping up with it. I still think that guys like De'Aaron Fox are still way underpriced. D'Angelo Russell still way underpriced.
I agree.
So that's the thing that I think that is important to take from this season.
Yeah, I mean, early in the season, I remember talking about Tyrese Halliburton, and he was consistently priced at 8K, 8.5. And I'm like, this guy is $2,000 underpriced, and no one realizes it yet. And this guy's going for 50, sometimes 60. I mean, nowadays he's priced at 10.2. He's priced appropriately. But it's really interesting to see some of these things, and I think that this season has been different in that way, especially early on, where you're like, I'm not going to pay 9.8 for Tyrese Halliburton or SGA or something like that, and then look at us now, where even like mid-tier top guys like Dame, for example, normally priced in all the previous years at 9.5 to maybe 10.5 highest. This guy was getting 30% ownership last week at 11.6, and the usage rate is just incredible. I don't know if that's like coaching things or whatnot, or like what's going on this year, but yeah, I agree. The usage rate for the stars has been just insane.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I would probably take into next year. I think that's going to continue. I think that teams, the NBA is an optimization league, and they look and find and exploit edges that are happening. Like, they are very analytically driven and understand that at this point, like, in order to find a lot of success, you need to have these high usage guys that you can just scheme open and get the ball. So I think that we're seeing that a lot with the teams that that can have a guy who can do that. And I think that's going to be something that's really important to pay attention to next year and probably in the offseason. We don't talk much about best ball. I will talk about best ball maybe in a month and a half once I have my offseason NFL model built, because I like best ball a lot. I think there's a lot of edge in best ball. But for basketball, best ball, I do. Well, okay, so really quick note on that, on best ball, and why I think there's a lot of edge. People play it in an excessively conservative way that does not lend itself well to top-heavy payouts. So, like, not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people that you see that are max entering these best ball contests are just, like, going off best player available. They're just like, if I can get a value on this guy, then I'll just draft him. If I can get a value on this guy, I'll draft him. Maybe they'll take some stands, but, like, man, you see these main best ball grinders, you see these guys post their fucking exposures at the end of the best ball season, and it's like their top exposure is like 16%. And it's like, bro, you're not fucking taking anything down with that. Like, that's like trying to cover all your bases in NBA DFS. Like, you just can't do it. There are too many permutations. There's not enough of an edge in just following what the field does. It just doesn't work. Maybe you can make a profit. I'm not saying that you can't make a profit. You can make money doing it that way. But I think that it's very difficult to end up taking down GPPs. And I think that you see some of the guys, Corraine last year took down the best ball, the big best ball tournament, 2 million or something like that. Yeah. But he had high exposures. Yeah, he had really high exposures. And before that, Chess Liam, he had exceptional exposures to a lot of the really high-end guys, like Gabe Davis. He had like 60% Gabe Davis in his drafts. So it gave him those bullets that he needs towards the end. Right. So I think there's a lot of edge in treating best ball over the course of the year like you would a large field GPP. And sure, the variance is going to suck. Like last year when I was drafting for them, I had a lot of Broncos, which sucked, right? Like I stacked. I stacked every single draft that I had because I think that that's where the biggest edge is going to be in NFL. Because it's treated like NFL DFS. I had a lot of Broncos stacks. That fucking sucked, all right? I had a lot of Baltimore stacks. That fucking sucked, all right? But, like, at the beginning, before Lamar Jackson got hurt, like, even with having as much Denver exposure that I had, because I had, like, Baltimore, Denver, Chargers, Chiefs, and Buffalo stacks. Like, I had a lot of really high upside stacks, because you could stack them together and reach for things, and, like, it would work. Before Lamar Jackson got hurt, and, like, probably with like 4 weeks to go in the season, I had like a 35% advance rate. And then because of all of the attrition, because of all the injuries, and because of all the exposure that I had to the Broncos, I ended up falling back and I only had like a 10% advance rate. But a 10% advance rate still, I think, is fine with all of those injuries and all that attrition. So I think there's just a lot of edge in attacking it like you would a large field DFS GPP and saying, I'm going to stack this and try to get some bullets near the top.
Wow, yeah, I'm on the opposite side. I hate best ball. But I think one of the things that you said in there is my biggest thing is the attrition and the injuries and all of that. And of course, this past year there was a ton of talk about Week 17 stacks and whatnot. And I'm like, who the fuck knows who's gonna be playing in Week 17? I don't fucking know. Odell's on 3 different teams. It's CMC got traded. I'm like you don't fucking know, like Melvin Gordon is on, the Chiefs now. Like, it's just like, to me, it's too long of an investment for me to, I feel like I lose edge with the variance that happens throughout the season because you're just taking on variance week after week after week with a very variable sport in terms of injuries. And so that for me is not worth my time. Also, best ball drafts take fucking long. And I don't want to fucking do them. But I do think that there is some value in taking those stands for sure. So I had like 15 best ball teams last year. 13 of them had Garrett Wilson that I drafted in like the 11th round or the 12th round. I'm a Jets fan, as you know. Actually, we can talk about Aaron Rodgers on our next podcast because I am a Jets fan. I'm the exact person that would be in your mentions about complaining about Aaron Rodgers. So we can talk about that next time. But yeah, I had a ton of Jet stacks and I had a ton of like some other stuff. And I had a decent advance rate. I think I advanced like 4 out of the 15 in my lineups or something, which is not bad. But yeah, I'm not a big best ball guy, but I hear you. I hear your points.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Jets. Next one because we're running out of time. But yeah, I had a tweet on the Jets that said that they were going to commit career suicide by taking on this fucking diva. And man, did Jets Twitter get mad about that. 250,000 plus views on that tweet. Like legitimately hundreds of replies and quote tweets. Just like...
Yeah, man, Jets Twitter is rough. Like, you probably have never been to a Jets game, but I feel like Jets Twitter is a microcosm of just the Jets fan base in general. You go to a Jets game, it is the saddest but the funniest thing because everyone is just like, damn, we're fucking Jets fans. This sucks. We're just gonna make fun of ourselves. And we can make fun of ourselves is that thing where we can make fun of ourselves, but no one can make fun of us. Like don't come in here with that shit. And I've been to some bad games. Some bad games in the past. I used to go. I still go every year with my friend to at least one game. I have not seen a win in the past 8 years. The past 8 years, I'm 0-8 going to Jets games, which, makes sense given that they're terrible. But I thought that was hilarious when all of Jets Twitter came out of you. I'm like, yeah, I see that every year.
I mean, they're fucking rabid animals, man. But we'll talk about, we'll dedicate some time to that on the next podcast. What do you got for some closing thoughts here? What do you got for the people?
Closing thoughts. I got nothing for you. Stay healthy. That's all I got. Nothing too crazy today. Stay healthy. Just chill out.
All right, I got some skincare for you today. All right. So skincare. So I don't look it, but I care a lot about my skincare and like my beard health and everything like that. All right. Like I use lotions. I use retinol. Like I care a lot. All right. So here's the thing, all right? We're coming into summer. Wear fucking sunscreen. Just fucking wear sunscreen. Like it's not hard. You just lather yourself up a little bit before you go out. Have some in the car. Put it on your arm, especially if you got tattoos like me. Like put on some sunscreen, man. Protect your skin because you have your skin for your entire life, dude. And you got to take care of it. Otherwise, you're gonna end up looking like a fucking rancid raisin. When you're 68 years old. Nobody wants to be a rancid raisin when they're 68 years old. So a little bit of skincare stuff. Make sure that you wear your sunscreen when you go out. Make sure that you exfoliate once a week. Exfoliate your face. Clean things up a little bit. If you have a beard, make sure that you clean inside your beard. I've got a big like exfoliator thing that I use. And just take care of your skin. You got it for your entire life. So those are my closing thoughts.
You might upset. There's some anti-sunscreen truthers out there, if you don't know.
Yeah, that's because they're fucking brain dead, bro. It's the stupidest shit. People will find anything to try to take the other side of, man. Fucking contrarians in this world.
You think Jets fans are bad? You might upset the anti-sunscreen truthers.
Come for me, bro. I'll bet there's fucking Jets anti-sunscreen truthers too out there that want to fucking pick fight with me on Twitter.
If you're gonna come for anti-sunscreen stuff, go at James. Don't come at me. I don't have a hard stance on sunscreen.
I'm hoping to turn you into a sunscreen maxi. All right, this has been episode 8 of the Tilt Report with James and Jeremy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This one might be a YouTube only unless I can figure out how to fucking turn this file into an audio, which maybe I can, maybe I can't. I don't know. That's not my forte. But we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have not checked out paydirtdfs.com, you should. About to send out an email talking about baseball and some changes to pricing, some changing to structuring and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. If you have not checked out ETR, which is where you can find Jeremy's stuff for PGA, then you should absolutely do that. I'm sure that you have, but if you haven't, then for sure go do that. And yeah, follow us on Twitter, all that kind of good stuff, and we will talk to you guys on Saturday. Bye-bye.
Later.